Hello guys, today we're talking about a key ability in Overwatch, and that is the ability of Mercy being able to bring back the dead. Of course, yes, it's not possible now, but will it be in the future? You might actually be more shocked than I was when I found the video made by the infographic show. It was scientists bringing a pig brain back to life using stem cells. There's also a biotech company that is attempting to use stem cells to revive people. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is more progress out of that controversial company. The only way of getting between them is ethical concerns. But in the future, and of course there's another video called "Is There an Afterlife?" by Always Asking, and of course he said the singularity and the afterlife, meaning that once the singularity comes, all basically resurrection, revival, and all that stuff will be here. Resurrection, revival, you know, stuff that Mercy does, because Overwatch takes place after the projected date of the singularity. For example, let's look at characters like Reaper in Overwatch, Genji. Genji and Reaper are supposed to be dead, war-wise. War-wise, Reaper is supposed to be dead, okay, but he isn't. Okay, same thing with and actually even Hammond is supposed to be dead. Okay, because hamsters only have a 2-year lifespan, but Hammond is 12 years old. So that means, yep, in Overwatch there is already radical life extension as well. Well, so stuff that happens in Overwatch, like making barriers, and stuff, and all that stuff, and highly intelligent animals, as I said in another video, is not that far-fetched as people claim it is. But Mercy's ability of Overwatch, it seems as one of the most unrealistic besides Tracer's time powers. But again, there's no proof that he can manipulate time yet. But we already have proof that he can bring back things from the dead. I.e., the pig brain thing. Of course, the pig brain eventually died back again because it's not attached to any body. But they are able to bring back the brain from the dead using stem cells. They were able to bring back the pig brain, from. So yeah, it was a massive breakthrough as well. And now they're trying to and now there's a company that's trying to do this on people. There was an actual company that is attempting to do this on humans. Of course, they're not getting this public support, but. And there's already other ways people are trying to bring back people from the dead. There's also cryonics, which exists. Okay? Which hasn't been proven yet, but it is gaining ground. Like in cryonics, they were able to bring back a dog from Frozen. Okay? And I think the whole thing of cryonics will be proven because there was this girl, that was supposed to be dead because she was frozen. She was supposed to be dead, but her body was unfrozen and she was brought back alive. Using it. And we already have examples of cryonics working in nature. Okay? There are bugs in the Arctic area. Frogs in the Arctic that freeze themselves and come back. So cryonics is, of course, already based in nature. Cryonics is already based in nature. So, there. But this will be huge if. But the big question, just like in most other things, is should we gain immortality? Because if we're able to bring back anybody from the dead, like Mercy can in Overwatch, then the only way to die is basically by suicide, or going down. Because it was proven to be indeed possible in pig brains that has recently passed away. So that means, if it's true, so if most people make it to biological immortality, and live long enough to see resurrection be an actual thing, which will likely happen around when the singularity comes around, which is probably around 2040 to 2045, and most of us will probably still be around by the time singularity comes around, or even sooner if Ray Kurzweil is right. But again, technology is actually progressing faster, far faster than people think it is. Especially AI. AI very recently was able to mimic human behavior. AI was very recently been able to mimic human behavior. So, you never know what the future of technology, but if this is true, that means if the body is preserved, by some form, say cryonics or something else, we can basically bring anybody or anything back to life. I even know, like, oh yeah, it's impossible. Okay, it's impossible. Okay, which means, once again, man has already been overcoming nature. Mankind has been overcoming nature. Okay, the way people who are concerned about ethics and stuff, but mankind has always been overcoming nature and the natural process of things. And I believe by the end of our lifetimes, mankind will overcome. I might mean lifetimes, like most people watching this video, because both the demographics of people watching this video is a vast majority, around 35 and below. A vast majority are below the age of 40. Which means Lee Pearson's theory about immortality is correct. Okay, because if we're able to bring back people from the dead, with the exception of suicide, no one will be able to die again. Which will fix the whole dilemma. Of, if you have biological immortality, you could still die by an accident, blah 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 blah, blah blah blah, die from an accident. So, and the same issue. Which means, yeah, humanity, probably by the end of the century, would have essentially engineered immortality. And according to Ray Kurzweil, people as old as the baby boomer generation will be still alive by the end of this century. And likely most of us. Most people are, usually just have the heads in the sand of all the technological breakthroughs are coming. There's lots of things that we'll be able to see in the future. Bringing people back from the dead is basically the ultimate transhumanist thing. Because if you can do essentially what Mercy does in Overwatch, again, I bet it's not this. I bet it's more than just lifting a staff up. I bet it's probably more of a scientific process. You'll be there'll be no, well, if you look at, like, for example, the pig fig video called, is science gonna defeat religion? Well, I believe by the end of the century there'll only be one religion, which is the religion of the gods of the universe, which is, the only religion that will probably exist. Okay. Or transhumanist digital religion, which is a religion basically worshipping machines. The gods of the universe, like but if longevity escape velocity does happen, yeah, if you live long enough using longevity escape velocity, you will live forever. That's what the term is. You live long enough to live forever. That's where that whole term comes from. And if you look at the public perception, it was like a poll that people were polled on. It says, how long would you, it was in Britain, and they chose, if you're healthy, how long would you like to live? So it was the highest percentage for the certain age group was 17% was a normal lifespan, and the other highest one was 17% forever. It seems that people do have a desire to live forever. A certain amount of people. There are a certain amount of people who love life, who don't want to die, don't want to have to be reincarnated over and over and over and over again. And I bet most of the people who want to live forever probably know the truth about the universe. Okay, the truths about the universe, or at least I only know, or a few people, you know, there, you know, truths and values of this planet, of this universe, and the multiverse that we live in. This time is truly exciting times to live in. It is. We live in a time where we can basically, theoretically, live forever. Most people under the age of 40, immortality is probably guaranteed. Of course, people are gonna complain, but if I want to die at some point, I'll get bored. Well, there will probably be a way to kill boredom too. Again, this universe is so big, so vast, so huge that you probably never gonna get bored ever. You know, considering this universe is so big and massive as well. Well, there's already calls to accelerate, at least leaving older people healthy. There's already calls of that as well. But if science continues to go towards and continue to study the whole pig brain thing, and do it with humans and other animals, and bring them back again, clinical death has always been changing. Many people have been brought back from clinical death, and a lot of them have had, of course, near-death experiences, which is basically, let's look it up, but which was a near-death experience is a vision of the afterlife, which I actually believe is true. I don't believe it's a hallucination or made up by the brain, because most times the brain is already brain dead. So, how could it be a hallucination if your brain's already dead? But people are saying that in the future, and there's already articles about it. There's already a few YouTube channels coming about it. For example, there's a video called "Why Die." There's an article called "The Death of Death." Maybe by 2050, the Grim Reaper will finally get his vacation around. He will finally get his vacation. And, there. And if we don't achieve it, if we don't achieve immortality, you can always sign up for Quinox. That's always a plan B. A pretty good one, in fact. Which Quinox has always shown a ton of promise already. So, yep. Could Mercy's resurrection be a thing in the future? Don't bet against technology. Technology has already done crazy things in the past. There were things that were deemed impossible. But, I have a list of things. Electricity, flight, automobiles, and many, many, many more things. We're now seeing science fiction become reality. Okay? There was a video called "Things That Will Be Possible by 2050. And one of them was 3D printing of houses. Just very recently, there was a 3D printed house that was put on sale. So, science is very, very rapidly progressing. Especially once we reach longevity escape velocity. Because if people never die by natural causes, there's 90% of deaths. Okay, and most deaths are age related too. It really will be a escape velocity. Especially once technology gets so advanced, they're able to do stuff like bring people back from the dead and stuff. Like Mercy can in Overwatch. We already have these signs that it is possible from the pig brain study. So, maybe maybe this lifetime may actually, they always say lifetime, like, oh, we might see this in your lifetime. Well, if biological mortality is seen in your lifetime, you're probably going to be living for a far long time. there will probably be no such thing as a life expectancy because people can choose to live forever. Your life expectancy will be your choice in the future. So, it'll be your choice. And especially if resurrection and stuff like that, it will become possible in the future. There is a possibility that it will basically mean that accidents was the largest other form of death, which again, accidents actually only increase with AIDS, so it's mostly an AIDS-related thing because your body's more weak and frail when you're older. Essentially, when you're more weak. You basically, so yeah, that means, and Overwatch takes place in 2070s. Okay, Overwatch takes place in the 2070s. If my theory is right, we could have it by 2070. What Mercy does, okay, which would be huge because once we get rid of aging, the only problem is accidents and natural disasters. Which means in the future, death will be very, very, very rare. It will be an elusive thing that will be basically forgotten. Which means longevity escape velocity is truly an escape velocity. And that means our lifespans will be indefinite. Most people born after 2000 were truly born in the right time. Sorry, 90s kids. We are the superior ones. That's just a fact. But you guys will probably make it too, right? And maybe 200 years from now you'll be, selling your stories about, how I grew up with Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie on YouTube. Or someone made a joke about, when I'm 90, I'll be able to tell my grandchildren about Big Sungus. About Big Sungus. And there's a lot of technology that's what longevity escape velocity is. With technology, your life expectancy is always going to go up. Because if you look at life expectancy, 80 years, that's a lot of years. But life expectancy never goes in forward with future technology. For example, in the 1930s, life expectancy was like 30 to 40 years. But because of a massive increase in medical technology, like vaccines and stuff, those people who were born in the 1930s and 40s and 50s are now living long lives. Longer lives than they usually think. And that's a very, very good thing. There. And yeah, once the singularity happens, which will likely happen in our lifetime, expect to live indefinitely. Expect, now you can modify it, you'll be living in a world where death is extremely rare. The only deaths are by suicide. The only time people die is when people choose to die. So that means people who basically live forever can live forever, reaching immortality, escape velocity. So that means, I already answered this, but I wouldn't be surprised by 2070 if a resurrection thing, like Mercy does, is a real thing. Which will basically mean the cure of death itself. Probably not people who have already been destroyed by the natural cycle, but people who have already died a few hours ago. Which means, the whole accidents thing that people always bring up will be no longer a non-factor. Which means longevity escape velocity, it truly is escape velocity if this is possible. Which of course has always been proven by the pig brain study. So I expect more things to come out of these types of studies as well. There's also another very similar technology that's coming out called de-extinction, which is bringing back extinct species from the dead. That is another sort of resurrection, but If we can bring back extinct species from the dead, couldn't we bring people back from the dead and animals back from the dead as well? We'll soon probably get about to reach. It's kind of like a zombie-like thing, you know. Will people who have been resurrected be called zombies, literally, even though they're not zombies? You know, there. But yeah. Yeah, so Mercy. So the only thing that is yet to be proven is time warping powers that Tracer has, which is one of the most unrealistic things. Which means, yep, Reaper is entirely possible because Reaper is supposed to be dead. A dead being. So, and especially Resurrection will be very, very, very useful for another technology, which is cryonics. Next, which is preserving your body at a temperature, so the damage doesn't go too far. Which means, yep, cryonics actually does have a basis behind it. It does have a basis behind it. So yeah, if we survive if we survive the machines, we will basically all we have to do is to survive the singularity, and that's it. Immortality. Immortality is essentially that's an especially for people who are very, very young, like me. So, yep, Mercy's revival powers could be an actual thing in the future. Probably either by 2070, 2050 at the earliest, or 2100. Again, there are so many technologies that were seen as impossible that are now becoming possible. For example, human-like AI was expected to come around 2030, but it's now here now, so we even have the first meta-humans. Yep, made by Unreal Engine, so the virtualization is another thing that's gonna be an inevitability gonna happen too. Which means, yeah, Sword Art Online is actually pretty powerful, especially with Neuralink. Sword Art Online, the TV show, the anime, as well. So yeah, in the future, people will definitely achieve true biological immortality. True biological immortality. Like the article says, this could in our lifetimes we could clearly see the death of death. That's basically it about this video. Goodbye.